Oh, it ended. That's my favorite part of the show.
Hey,
Dead silence.
Because no one knows what to say. We all just saw you bounce in your seat. It's
I
disturbing.
like turtles.
I like Totos too.
Hey,
So
Snorty.
yeah, I'm going to tell you right now, Tom's busy writing, but he's going to pop in every now and again to add some tidbits of knowledge. But one thing I want to point out is this film does something that, because when I first saw this film, I was a kid and I just loved it. But I didn't understand what was so lovable about this film is that this film is a true nerd film for Frankenstein. And there's so many little tiny nods that if you're not paying attention, they manage to capture moments from all 5 of the Universal Frankenstein solo films. And I wanted to point out too something neat. A lot of people don't know this, that of the 5 standalone Frankenstein films by Universal, Boris Karloff was in 4, and Bela Lugosi was in 2.
Neat.
Actually, technically, he was in one of the. He was the Frankenstein monster in the Wolfman one, so that doesn't count because that's a tie-in. So he was in one of the standalone Frankenstein films.
My 2 favorite comedies by Mel Brooks are this and Blazing Saddles. And Blazing Saddles is a parody of Westerns, and it's a brilliant parody of Hollywood's Western stories. Because what most people don't realize about Blazing Saddles is that they don't break the 4th wall. They never put it up in the first place. Everybody in Blazing Saddles knows they're in a movie pretending to be in a Western.
Well, that's why you constantly catch those moments where they just sort of like pause and kind of look at the camera through side eye.
Well, that's how the zoom out happens, and you find out that the fight's actually going on in the back lot of Warner Brothers. Everybody does a first reaction, goes, "Wait a minute, how did they get here?" And I'm like, "They've been here all the time. You just didn't notice." This movie, I would argue, is not a parody of Frankenstein movies. This is an homage.
It's an homage.
This is a love letter.
There is parody in it because otherwise you don't have the comedy. But what you do have is a great love story or love song to the Frankenstein film, specifically the 5 standalone Frankenstein films.
Yes.
They're not making fun of them.
Which were Frankenstein, right. Frankenstein 1931, Bride of Frankenstein, which many consider as a sequel to be actually better than the first film, directed by the same guy, James Whale. Let's see, Son of Frankenstein, Ghost of Frankenstein, and then finally House of Frankenstein. And I think that one was 44. And at that point, they started moving towards mixing and matching and bringing in Abbott and Costello.
Yes. And
they're great films. They really are. But the 5 standalone Frankenstein films were the ones I just named. And there is an homage to every single one of them in this film. And including one of the greatest things was that they found out the gentleman had all of the electrical equipment used in the first film in his garage.
Yep.
And he lent it to them.
That was a gentleman by the name of Strickfaden.
Anima, tell him what that means.
Yeah, if you translate that literally, it means a thread for knitting.
It means what?
Thread for knitting.
Yeah. Basically, his name is Wool.
Right. Well, yeah. He never got credit apparently.
Oh, he did
for working on props. And when
his name on there.
Oh, he's talking about in the original films.
In the original film, he never got credit. So when Brooks found him and got all the props from him out of his garage, he got credit for providing the props, which he never did in the original film. So kudos to Mel Brooks for that.
And the way this came about is Mel Brooks had an idea and went to Gene Wilder. And Wilder also had an idea. And so they're credited as both having the story, but it's actually Gene Wilder who wrote the first story that led to the screenplay. And he did a bulk of the work. And they'd already worked on several films together and had a great relationship. In fact, a lot of people don't know that they had an undying friendship until Gene Wilder died.
Yes.
And in fact, Mel Brooks was there when he was struggling with Alzheimer's every day. That was kind of friendship they had all the way until the end. But they stopped kind of working together. And a lot of it led to, according to, insider rumors, that the tension was caused by how much control Mel Brooks wanted to have over production. Two, that when all the rights were handed down in the end, Mel Brooks ended up with more than Gene did. And that bothered him business-wise, but it didn't affect their friendship ever.
Well, there's another aspect to that, Gary, that if it hadn't been for Blazing Saddles, this movie probably never would have been made.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
the reason is that the original actor hired by Mel Brooks to play the Waco Kid in Blazing Saddles was an alcoholic. And he showed
Murderer
up
too later.
Yeah. Yes.
What?
But he showed up drunk on set.
Gig
and
Young,
was
hun.
Gig Young, yes. And he was completely useless as an actor at that point in that role for the show. So Brooks fired him and went to Wilder and said, I need your help. And I want you to play the Waco Kid in my movie Blazing Saddles. And Wilder said, well, I'm working on a story. He said, I'll make you a deal. If I play the Waco Kid in Blazing Saddles, you need to make the movie I'm writing this story for. And that movie is this movie, Young Frankenstein.
Yep.
So this was Gene Wilder's idea, and he all but blackmailed Mel Brooks into making this movie so that Brooks could get him to play the Waco Kid, which is probably the best deal that Mel Brooks ever made in his entire career. Was getting Wilder to play the Waco Kid and then making this movie out of the story that Gene had written.
I wholly agree. And one of the things that amazes me about this film is in the casting. Yes, they have comedic actors in here, but they got Gene Hackman and Peter Boyle. And Gene Hackman wanted this role so badly because he was friends with Wilder, and because they'd worked together on Bonnie and Clyde, and they became, as I recall, golfing buddies, if I remember reading that correctly. But Hackman did it for free. He just wanted to do it because he was worried he was typecast in dramatic roles, and he wanted to do a comedy. And so they brought him in, and he worked for 4 days.
Oh no,
for nothing.
Longer than that.
I thought it was just 4 days for that scene.
No. Mel Brooks told the story. He says, Hackman came to him and said, I want to do a comedy. And Mel said to him, Gene, comedy's hard. He says, yeah, I know, but I want to see if I can do it. He says, all right, we'll give you this part.
Which is funny because Gene was considered a comedic actor from this point on.
Yes. Well, Gene Hackman is what I'm talking about.
Oh, Gene Hackman, you mean? Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Gene Wilder for a second.
There's
My
two
bad.
Genes. Yeah. No.
Yeah, my bad. I got him twisted around there.
Well,
right. So Hackman,
you probably know this too. Were they golf buddies? Because Gene Hackman and Gene Wilder met because of the Bonnie and Clyde film. And
I thought it was tennis.
It was either tennis or golf. That's why I'm asking, because I can't remember which one it is.
I think I heard it was tennis. They were tennis players.
Okay,
they were
so
tennis partners.
Buddies. Yeah. Okay.
And so Mel Brooks, as he told the story, is that Gene Hackman came to say, I want to play a comedic
Where are you going? I was going to make espresso.
Oh, yeah, and that's an ad lib, by the way. And they had to use the first take. I just read this. They had to use the first take, and it fades immediately to black because the entire crew cracked up at the ad lib. And they couldn't get him to say the line again without cracking up with the rest of the crew, so they had to go with the first take. But that was Gene
Nice.
Hackman's ad lib in that scene. I
Well,
was going
that's
to make
the problem with
espresso.
this film, though. I'm going to point this out. They
Yeah.
would end up doing 15, 16 takes because every single time Wilder was on the set, he would do these scenes, and then he would end up cracking up with the rest of the crew.
Right.
And they would have to reshoot because the shots were getting ruined by laughter.
Yes. And Marty Feldman absolutely broke him on a regular basis.
Not
Uh,
surprised.
Not well, yeah, but I mean, Marty Feldman is just like, look at him, look at his picture there to the side of you. I mean, Marty Feldman, all he had to do was give it out, look into the camera and people would laugh. But according to Mel Brooks, Gene Hackman figured he'd be there for an afternoon, film for about 3 hours, and go home. And the way Mel Brooks tells it, he says, I had him there for 10 days. And he did take after take after take because either somebody started corpsing or Gene started corpsing or they didn't get it right. And Mel was a perfectionist. And that's something that you don't often hear because these
No, he
movies are
is.
so these movies are so crazy.
I
But
told you about the rumor that part of the problem that led to the professional issue between Gene Wilder and Mel was his control. That he was
yes,
a control freak, and Wilder said he just couldn't work with that. But they were also in real life just the best of friends, and they stayed that until Wilder's death.
yes.
And has anybody else seen it? There is a documentary. I just bought it. Let's see, where is it? It's called where's it at? Where's it? Here it is. Remembering Gene Wilder 2023. Came out last year. And I'm about a quarter through, and it's just fucking awesome. And there's a lot of Mel Brooks in there talking about him. Yeah,
Well,
that too, Tom.
They made, I mean, Mel Brooks made Gene Wilder. And Tom, you mentioned that coming in because you thought I was talking about Gene Wilder. The Producers was probably his first big role. I could be wrong, but
It was.
that cemented him, at least in my book, as a comedic actor.
And the studio executive that produced it didn't want him.
Yeah.
He was like a week or two into shooting, and he saw the dailies, and he goes, "We need he wanted a good-looking guy," and recommended this one actor, and Mel lied to him and says, "Okay," and then just kept shooting with
Yep.
Gene. And after a few weeks, there wasn't anything to do
Gene was
about
actually a huge horror fan, and that's obviously where the inspiration for this came from. And I apologize if you guys already talked a little bit about this already. I've been
No, you go ahead.
distracted, but so yeah, I mean, it's funny how this film is his love letter to the classic horror films, because it is. It's not so much. It's weird because as much of a satire / parody that it is, it's also a direct sequel to the first two Frankenstein films.
Yes, it is.
Yeah,
Like,
I called
a direct
It actually
sequel.
mentions it.
And he referenced them, uses all that. Yeah. And what sucks is it kind of hurt Gene's career at the same time as helped him, because there was a lot of movies that he wanted to do after this and his earlier successes that he didn't get to do because he was so pigeonholed as a comedic actor. And this is where I was going to go with earlier, because I was like, oh yeah, earlier on he was a little bit more here and there, but because he wanted to do the film Magic. I don't know if you guys are aware of that movie, the one with the puppet.
Yes.
Yeah, see, he famously wanted, and the director and everybody wanted him. Richard Attenborough wanted him desperately. He's like, you need somebody like Gene to sell this. And the producer's like, no, I will not have a comedian playing the main role. And he was devastated because he wanted to play that role so badly. But yeah, it was because of things like this that kind of pigeonholed him into the comedic only realm for the longest time. But yeah, because I think he would have been brilliant in that. And that, to me, that's one of my only complaints about the movie Magic, because Anthony Hopkins, he's great. But the parts where he's doing fats and they're supposed to be funny, they kind of fall flat. Because why? Because Anthony Hopkins ain't a comedian. No. Anthony Hopkins could make reading a newspaper scary, right? Like
Yes.
today's weather will be balmy and 32. No, that's just like, anyway,
Yeah, but he couldn't play Adrian Cronauer in Good
No, he
Morning
couldn't be
Vietnam.
goofy and funny and make you laugh, right? Like, because he's
Right.
too.
Yeah,
He's
because
not. He doesn't
you just
have
did him
that.
doing you did him doing the weather, and the first thing I thought of was Robin Williams. Today's weather's going to be hot.
Damn hot. So
Yes.
hot. We're gonna be doing some crotch pot cooking.
Yeah.
To where Gene could have went both ways. He can do the whole
Yes.
spectrum, especially when he does his manic, right? Because I'd have been
Yes.
interested in seeing him do
And oh my god,
his manic goofy
is so
guy,
good.
but not goofy, but do it actually disturbed manic. Like, I would
Yes.
love to have gotten to see him do that.
Like
for
he's
once.
losing his mind, man.
But I want to point something out here because two great actors were really good at raging. Number one, George C. Scott. Number two, Gene Wilder.
Yes.
My grandfather's reshoots was doo-doo.
The
I love the way those
preservation
two guys
of
rage.
life.
Film's
Stabs
fine.
Stabs him.
Ah!
And then stabs himself with a scalpel and crosses his legs to hide it.
That was always one of my favorite ones he would do.
Dismissed.
Yeah.
Yes. 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 Oh, and the
that-
sound effect when he pulled the scalpel out of his thigh.
Yes, I know. And you can see the board that's in there, or that whatever thick pad that was. You can actually see it, but I didn't care. I find that's so
No.
fucking funny.
It's brilliant. And the whole premise that he's a skeptic. He thinks his grandfather was crazy. Which sets up the whole situation comedy until it could be done, and cue the dramatic music. Until then,
Yep.
we're all led to believe this is just going to be a run-of-the-mill comedy. It's not going to happen. Nothing's going to happen with a monster or anything else. But at that moment, the whole movie takes a new turn. And it's brilliant. Well, Terry Garr was brilliant too.
Yes, and
That
that's
was
why we are doing this movie today.
Yes.
In memory
Yes.
of the wonderful Terry Garr.
Yes.
Roll in the hay, roll.
What knockers?
Hey.
Oh, thank you, doctor. That she doesn't get offended. She just takes it as a compliment, even though he's not talking about her. It's just hysterical.
Well, she is hot for him the whole time.
Oh,
The
yes.
moment she sees him the first time, so she wouldn't mind him saying stuff like that or
no,
misinterpreting
no.
stuff that he says.
I agree, but it's that's the flirt, is that he's not talking about her, but she takes it that way. No,
Both
she was
women are
wonderful.
hilarious in this movie. Both of
Yeah,
them.
they are. And Cloris Leachman, who looked 50 years old for 35 years.
What?
She,
And by the
she
way,
looked the same. She looked the same that she did in this movie for about the next 30 years. And then
Wow.
she finally got old.
in one
she was
interview,
brilliant.
Mel Brooks had talked about that there was a misunderstanding that Blucher meant horse glue, which is not what it means. He says he was told what it meant was when a horse is chosen to be taken in to be turned into glue was called Blucher, not the glue it's making the glue itself.
I have never heard anything like that before, and German is my first language. So, and I tried to find out where it comes from, and I came up with nothing. Just the name.
That's
of
all I had was that one
in
comment he
general.
made in an interview. And
Mhm.
so that is straight from his mouth that's what he was told. Doesn't mean it's true, just means that's what he was told. I love this scene with the coffin, with the wrestling for the box.
Yes.
And when he finally gets the box out of his hand, how slowly the hands go back down, like it was disappointed.
A lot. If you've ever seen the deleted scenes, there were a lot of them from this early part of the movie. Mel edited a lot out, and this is a very, very quick intro with the grandfather there and his box with his will in it. and there's a ton of material that Mel shot that never, that wound up on the cutting room floor. Because he just thought it was taking probably because he thought it was just taking too long. He didn't need that much to set
Yeah,
the
you need to get
stage.
past that scene very quickly.
Yeah.
Just like this one, Terry Garr is dead. Yes, it's true. It's not a question mark. That is a fact. She passed away.
Sadly.
2, in the movie The Naked Gun, when Drebin says to Jane, "Nice beaver," she doesn't get offended either. No, in fact, her response is, "Thank you. I just had it stuffed,"
Okay.
and then hands it to him, and it's a stuffed beaver.
Now there is a Mel Brooks regular coming up in this scene.
Oh yeah, the guy that gets kicked.
Yes, and I've watched people do their first reactions to this, and often after they've watched Blazing Saddles, and I have yet to hear anybody say that they recognize that the test subject here is the preacher from Blazing Saddles.
His little retinue of actors that he liked to dip into.
Yep.
In fact, there's another actor there in the middle that we just saw who went on to have a big TV career.
Mm-hmm.
But I do like this because he's talking about things and then he uses terminology that even in my medical training, I'm like, that's not what that's called, but okay.
Right.
What he was really talking about is neural pathways. And he used some other word, and I'm like, that's not what that's called. Okay. It's just a fucking movie. Get over it.
Check your brain at the door.
And don't leave it too long because Igor might get it. And that's really one of my favorite gags in the film is when he tells him Frankenstein, he goes, "Is your first name Frederick?" He goes, "No, it's Frederick."
And he calls him that in one scene when they meet outside. He calls him
Frederick. He calls him Igor, and he goes, "Yes, Frederick."
Yeah, I love that scene. And he looks
the whole gag on the name.
Serious.
Yeah, I gotta wait till we get to Igor in the clips in the slides. But there's a great bit that another ad lib that came straight from Marty Feldman. I'll get to it. Abby Normal. Yes. That was so confusing to me before I'd seen this movie.
Abby, somebody? Yes, Abby. Go ahead.
Normal.
Tell me, Igor. And you won't be angry. No, I won't be angry. I promise you, I will not get angry. Abby Normal. Normal. Abby Normal. I'm like, oh my God, you gave me an abnormal brain. Now, he uses that correctly, motor impulses.
Yes. I love how when he's got the clamp on and he doesn't react, other than the fact that his eyes cross if you look carefully.
I love that when he whispers to him, "Give him an extra $1."
Yes. Yeah. So we're already establishing that Dr. Frankenstein here is a little bit weird in his own right. He's not. Yeah, he's not
psychotic.
He's not. Yeah, exactly. He's not your average college professor.
And I'd never heard about this movie, so watching this a couple days ago, I had no idea it was a comedy. I was pleasantly surprised by that. I thought just another horror movie for Halloween month or something.
Yeah.
Figuring Gary wouldn't make me watch stuff that I really couldn't get through, but it's a fucking comedy.
Well, you have an advantage over most people because you need to know some Yiddish, and Yiddish is written in Hebrew lettering, but it's mostly German vocabulary.
It's based on German words that they changed a little bit and made them a little.
Exactly.
Yes, but what I'm trying to say is you need to understand some Yiddish to get every joke in a Mel Brooks film, because some of them are not in English.
The first one I learned, other than schmuck and putz, was Fegele.
As to gesehen in deine Läden, woof, they're talking to us.
I
Have
really
you ever
do have
seen
an
in your
advantage
life?
here, yeah.
Oh, and of course he would have to have an enormous Schwanzstücker.
That's not actually German though.
I
There's-
know.
But yeah,
I
it's
know.
obvious what she means there.
Yeah.
Means
What she
big
means
penis.
is Schwein. I suspect what she's trying to, what she should have said was Schweinstücke. But yeah, it's all basically Yiddish jokes and words that that it helps if you know, because Mel loved to put Yiddish jokes into his films.
I
And
grew
you'll
up on
catch-
Yiddish jokes told by my dad because he has a lot of friends who are Jews, mostly from music
Mhm.
business, classic music
Mhm.
business. So yeah, Yiddish jokes are part of my childhood, and I love them.
Well,
It's
I
fucked
love
up
the
humor.
fact. I love the fact that the only way to define a word in Yiddish is to tell a story. That basically the only way to define any word in Yiddish is you have to tell a story. Like chutzpah. What's the definition of chutzpah? Well, that's a kid who kills his parents and then pleads for lenience on the court because he's now an orphan. That's the definition. And Madeline Kahn going from Blazing Saddles, where she's supposed to be the seductress, to here where taffeta, darling.
Taffeta, darling. No, it's taffeta. It gets wrinkled very easily.
Yes.
Just all of her fucking lines, and she improvised one later that's great. When he goes to kiss her at the wedding night, and she says, "No tongue."
Yes.
But Madeline Kahn, God, we lost her young too. Cancer.
Yeah.
Cancer. Fuck, she was funny.
Oh, she was.
Her last big thing was Bug's Life. I loved her in that.
Mm-hmm. And I love how Gene goes from the train in the United States and suddenly you see him on a train in Europe.
Yeah, and that's an Austrian couple, as Anima confirms. They're
Yeah.
speaking High German.
They
But they're
speak German and
having
they are
the
definitely
exact
Austrian.
They're having the exact same conversation the Jewish couple were having in the previous scene. It's
Yes.
the same conversation.
Yes.
Oh, this is a
now
great one.
that's yeah.
This is the Chattanooga Choo Choo line. Is this Transylvania Station? Yes, sir. Track 29.
Can I
You
give
use
you a shine?
And I got a lot of these jokes as a kid because I was a
Yeah.
cinephile as a child. I loved movies.
Well, I was a fan of
But-
Bugs Bunny, so I got most of these from Warner Brothers cartoons.
No, but the one thing I love about this film more than anything is the cameras they use and the lighting and the film stock gives it
Yes.
that 1930s look.
Well, the producer wanted the studio wanted Mel to shoot it on color film and then have it developed to be black and white. And he says, "No, I've seen that. It doesn't work. I want to shoot it on original black and white film stock." And they said, "Mel, nobody makes black and white films anymore." He says, "Well, I'm gonna."
Uh-huh.
And he shot it on old, basically old school black and white film and didn't have to decolorize it. And if you've ever seen some of the colorizations, which is basically the reverse process, it's terrible because the highlights and the shadows are all different and there's different amounts of contrast between color film and black and white film. If you've ever been a photographer, you know that you don't get the contrast out of certain color films that you do out of slides or black and white. This is all for you kids. This is all film camera stuff before they had digital cameras.
Okay,
And,
before we go too far, look, man, we've just gone past the name gag. And
oh
we
yeah,
just talked right over it. And
Yeah.
can we go back, Martin, please? I have no control over this.
Martin controls the horizontal. He controls the vertical.
I don't know why the play button isn't up for me.
That's weird
Like,
because
yeah.
it's up for me. I'm signed in on your account. We should see the same thing.
Because there's a logic argument going on here between Igor and Frederick.
Yes.
And he's saying, "My name is Frankenstein." Frankenstein. And he says, "Yes, but the name is Frankenstein." He goes, "I pronounce it Frankenstein." He goes, "Oh, do you say what's your first name?" "Frederick." "Well, shouldn't you say Frederick if you're going to
No.
do that?" You know? And he goes, "No." And he goes, "Well, you're Igor, aren't you?" "No, I pronounce it Igor."
Yes.
Well, I'm
We
sorry.
need
They told me it was
Andre
Igor.
to say
There it is.
Frankensteinian abomination.
Now, to that argument, I only have 2 words to say. Sean Bean.
You know, for
The
a second,
difference is
I thought you said shun bean, like shun beans, like beans are bad, don't eat them, shun them. And then I went, "Oh, it's Sean Bean." Got you. No, and you're
Yes.
right. My grandfather used to work for your grandfather. What a great line.
Yes.
Of course, the rates have gone up. Of course.
Of course.
And then the whole walk this way, and he walks
Well,
down
but-
the steps with the cane. Then it hands him
Wait a
the
minute.
little
Wait a minute. The
the
hump.
hump. Yes.
I could help you with that hump. And he says, "What hump?"
What hump?
And then
Now-
he changes shoulders all the time.
That was the thing. He did that. Marty Feldman started doing that, and it took a couple of days for the crew to notice that
Oh,
his hump wasn't on the same side all the time. And they incorporated it in the script. And at that point, they gave Gene the line, "Wasn't that over?" And Marty just looks at him and goes, "What?" As if to say, "What are you talking about?" And Gene just waves it off like, "I must be imagining things." No, it was Marty Feldman screwing around with the hump. And he did that all by himself, and they didn't notice it for like 3 days.
oh my God! Didn't they have continuity guys back then?
Oh, yeah, but you know, they had the dailies, and that was what they. I mean, they had to remember it from day to day. A lot of the continuity, I'm sure, came up in editing and back with film.
Probably, yeah.
Now,
'Cause
there are 2 humpbacks in the history of the 5 Frankenstein films. You had Dwight Fry, famous for Dracula, playing Renfield, who played Fritz in the first Frankenstein film, who was a humpback. And then later, and I forget his name, I can find it here real quick, Boris Karloff, Lugosi, played one in Frankenstein Meets the Wolfman. And he was a humpback. Also, by the way, I love the in-camera transitions. They were really well done in this.
yeah, werewolf. There.
No,
Why are
I
you
love
talking
that joke.
like that? I thought you wanted to.
That I will do that anytime somebody brings up werewolf. I will do that gag. I'll go
Yep.
werewolf.
Mm-hmm.
And now I finally know where that's from. I didn't get the walk this way part at first.
Oh yes, that's an old
He says,
vaudeville.
"Walk this way," and then he starts to walk down, and he shakes the stick at him, and he takes the stick, and he starts to walk down, and then he stops and breaks the fourth wall again, rolling his
Yeah.
eyes.
That's
then
walks
that's
and
when,
he
I mean,
stares
you
normal.
pointed it out too, but that's when I realized,
And-
oh, this way.
and-
Okay.
And that's an old vaudeville gag. When somebody would say "walk this way," you'd say something like, "If I could walk that way, I wouldn't need orthopedic shoes."
That's right. Oh, it was Son of Frankenstein. I apologize. He played Igor with a Y, Ygor. Bela Lugosi did. So the first Igor is Bela Lugosi. Blucher.
Yes.
I love these wide shots here, just to give you the scale of the set.
Yep.
Now, back in the 30s, they would have done partial set, partial matte painting, but that was the set.
Stay close to the wall.
Yeah, she has there's no flame in the candle. It's so like Anima was so quick to catch it. Like, she has no flame in the candle. Why is she carrying it like that? I said, because it's a gag. And she's walking around in this cat. Oh, I love the painting too.
Yep.
And she was another one that liked working with Mel Brooks.
Yes.
Because she ended up coming back for High Anxiety.
Was she also the library in Attack of the Clones?
Not that I'm aware of. I do like when she asks him, would you care for some Ovaltine? Would
A
you care for
glass of
something?
warm milk.
Nothing. God
And
damn
she
it,
was
he
following Gene's lead on that one. She because when he gave her the first strong reaction, no, thank you. She apparently just added a couple of offerings
Ovaltine?
or teased him with them if they were in the script. But she decided to play along, and she started to become more and more mocking of him as he got more and more agitated at saying no, thank you.
And then he sees her kiss the picture of his grandfather.
Yes.
Good night, Herr Doctor. Yeah, somebody who almost died from somebody leaving a candle lit. I see candles, they make me fucking nervous.
That's what freaks you out, that I use candles in the evening.
I can't stand them because she
I
damn near
love
killed
them.
me.
Well, one of my cats almost set fire to my apartment because I went out on the balcony for a second and they knocked the candle over and it fell on a plastic bag full of paper.
Oh.
But I got that out quickly because, hey, my second brother is a firefighter since he was 10, so I know my shit. I wanted to go that route too, but
Okay.
my mom wouldn't let me.
No escaping destiny. No escaping that from me. I love this whole scene where he's rolling in the bed.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's Gene. That's Gene doing Gene.
Yep.
Destiny. No escaping, not for me. It's coming from behind the bookcase.
Yes, he was. I liked Edward Platt. This is also one of my favorite gags. But
yes,
when you see him grab the candle to go when they go down to investigate, the minute they cut to inside the lab stairwell, he's got a different candle in his hand. It's lit a different way.
yeah. But yeah,
The high-pitched voice he uses here too.
Yes. Now I want
When he
you
gets
to
the
listen to me very carefully. Which again is like when he took a toke on the reefer in Blazing Saddles. He goes, "Say Bart."
Yep.
Yep.
Don't put the candle back. Oh God, I love this scene.
Yes, this is a great gag.
This is like Abbott and Costello level fucking comedy here.
Exactly. And so she puts the candle down rather than putting it back and pushes. And then when she gets spun around, you hear from the far side of the wall, here, put the candle back.
And so he does, and he goes and gets the other candle
Right.
from the other side so they can go in and watch. See how that candle is lit? You can see it. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's partially down into the candle. And then when we cut to the next angle, when they're going in from there, it's a different candle altogether.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody at this point says, a different candle altogether. Get it? Everybody says it all together.
This is a great bit. It's
Yeah.
just a rat.
Spider webs don't actually work that way, but fuck it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love this.
Yeah.
He crumbles apart in his hand. I just laugh so hard every time I see this.
Well, you didn't get the second half of his line. He says, "Don't worry, dear, it's just a rat," and then he goes, "A nasty, dirty, stinking rat,"
Rat.
because it obviously bothers him almost as much as it does her.
Yes, he is. He's damn near 100, man.
Yeah.
By the way, guys, all these skulls are real except for the one that has only been dead for 6 months. That's a handmade one. All the others are real skulls.
How about the one that looks like Marty Feldman?
Yeah, that one.
Thank
I
God
love him.
nobody. Oh.
This is where he says it. Igor, Frodrick.
That cracked me up when we watched that.
Yeah. It could be dangerous.
You go first.
You
A
go
line they would
first.
use later in Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yes. Yep.
Asps. Very dangerous. You go first.
Mm-hmm.
The nasty looking switches, right?
Over there. Yeah. Another good one, breaking the fourth wall. When he throws the first switch and it sparks like crazy. He goes, "Damn your eyes!"
Too late.
Too late.
In the movie Spaceballs, when Dark Helmet and his crew watch the movie within the movie on the VHS shelf, all the previous Mel Brooks movies are previous on there. And that's true. They had other Mel Brooks films there. And again, this is all the equipment from the original Frankenstein film.
I love that they were able to find that. That's amazing. And that he finally got credit for it.
That and the
They look
fact
really
that
nice. You add a few throw pillows.
This a what? There's a light coming from behind that door. Yeah, I don't know if you know, but it's Paramount, right? That did the original movies.
No, Universal.
Universal did the original movies. Universal held a copyright on the Frankenstein monsters makeup. So anyone who wanted to make a Frankenstein movie couldn't make them look like the original Frankenstein. But because this was Universal, Mel Brooks could have Peter Boyle done up in, with the neck bolts and all of the same sort of makeup as the original monster.
This wasn't Universal. This was
Wasn't it?
20th Century Fox. No.
How did they get the rights then?
They didn't. They didn't make it look like Boris Karloff's monster. It was different. They kept the scar on the top of the skull, but instead of the bolts in the neck, there was a zipper.
Yeah.
Right.
And the head, the skull wasn't flat top, was dome.
Yeah, he's round top.
Right. It was round top.
Because what they ended up doing, they ended up using the real top of his head, and there was a prosthesis right here on the forehead that left that scar here. So they managed to do that. And the backlot, this is the interesting thing for me. So much of that backlot looks like the sets that were used in the old Universal films. But that is the 20th Century Fox backlot that they shot all the village scenes in, where they're walking around the village. In fact, the giant shadow is from Bride of Frankenstein. That's a nod to Bride of Frankenstein, the way the shadow goes looming onto the building. I don't know if we'll catch it in the slideshow. I hope we do. The shots here, the way they shot that scene, all the angles were chosen. The director of photography working with Mel Brooks really did a fantastic job of making it look like it was shot in the 30s.
Oh, this is the scene where he goes, "It could be done."
Schwanzstücke.
Yeah. that has her excited. That lady is horny. He's gonna be very popular. Yeah, well, with the ladies, maybe.
I love it when he offers her Kipper.
I didn't know what that is at first.
And this is a great transition too, where he's dangling the drawing and it's swinging, and then they cut to the body swinging of Peter Boyle as he's been executed.
But he's already dead. Needs to
And
be
the idea of
freshly dead body.
drawing what he's going to look like is so goofy.
Yeah.
Now, the guy on the left there, he's technically on the right, but there on the left with the dark hair, is a guy that was in a lot of movies in the late 50s and early 60s. I forget his name. Let me go see if I can find his name. Because, doggone it, he was in a lot of stuff. Yeah, Denny Goldman, too. He was the annoyed medical student that giving him shit. Monty Landis played the grave digger. And that guy was in a lot of stuff. Pee-wee's Big Adventure, he played Mario. In Real Genius, he played Dr. Dodd, the one who Val Kilmer was afraid of looking too stiff in front of. So he was trying to be cool. And then he just had enough and walked away. That was him there. He was in Yellowbeard with Marty Feldman. He was Basil, one of Catwoman's henchmen, lead henchmen in the Batman TV series back in the 60s. Could have sworn he was in some of the bikini movies in the 60s. No, I guess not. He was in The Girl from U.N.C.L.E. too. Jeez. He was in that really badly produced Sherlock Holmes series in the 1950s. I mean, they had really good actors in it, but it was really poorly produced.
Oh, that scene is so funny when the dead guy's hand sticks out and he pretends that it's his hand, so the police
His own
guy
hand.
goes away. The very British police guy.
Yeah, it's supposed to be German, Yugoslavian, Romanian, but because God knows where
Well,
they're supposed to be.
Transylvania is Romania, basically. So why they all speak German is beyond me. All the signs are in German in the village. It's confusing. I guess they just wanted a hard and spooky
Well,
sounding
Frankenstein
language.
is Germanic, and I don't think it took place in Transylvania. I always thought he was in
No.
Germany.
Yeah, but in this movie, he goes to Transylvania. And everything's German there. I mean, I'm always having fun with German stuff, usually. Either because it's good or
There
I
it
get
is.
shit all over it.
This is another big chuckle I got out of the movie as a kid when he gets startled by his own hand.
Yeah. And the fact that he slide the brain through that gap in the door.
Yeah, this brain to drop
Brain
off brains
depository.
after hours, depository. Fucking crazy.
It is crazy. After 5
Yeah.
p.m.
He turns and
Okay.
sees his own hand.
If I remember correctly, Victor Frankenstein, he lives in Switzerland, but I think he made the monster during his time at the university at Geneva.
Okay. There is abnormal. Do not use
Do
a
not
normal
use
brain.
this brain.
Use for what?
Well, why is there a brain depository in the first place? But he has to write one and turns to the mirror and is so spooked by his own reflection that he drops it. Look at these shoes. Don't want anyone wearing that to step on my foot.
Oh, that's neat. Slasher Fred. They did that in the producer's musical that one of the apartment names is A. Bancroft. That's Anne Bancroft, Emma Brooks' wife, late wife. She passed away. Yeah, back when Gene met Mel, he was only dating Anne Bancroft.
Oh, we didn't get the part where he tells what's her name, the assistant, elevate me, and she goes, "What? Right now? Right here?" And he's like, "I need a platform." Always only thinking about that.
By the way, I don't know if Tom's still here. One of the cool things about Son of Frankenstein is it has Basil Rathbone as the son of Victor von Frankenstein, and his name is what is it? Baron Wolf von Frankenstein. And in the film, if you watch the film, they're using the old style. I forget what that's called, where everything is made to look a little unrealistic, and the way they're cut, the walls are cut at weird angles, and expressionism. It is one of the last films to use visual expressionism. Is The Son of Frankenstein. Yes, I did know that. I've talked about it on the show before, Slasher. That just shows you don't fucking watch enough of us. So what's up with that? That was a joke, guys.
Don't
Come
be
on.
mean to the people.
Lighten up, everybody. Jesus, it was a fucking joke. I just
know.
told him that he needs to watch more of our show. Nobody should
One
watch
way of
more of our
promoting.
show. But
Yeah.
no, yeah, the first Frankenstein movie was, and by God, that makeup was insane. I mean, the expression on his face, he looks like what's his name, the comedic brother on Empty Nest or whatever that show is called. Not Empty Nest. What was that show called? Where the dad and his two brothers are raising the kids in one house. One of them went on to play drums for the Beach Boys.
Full House.
Thank you. And what was that actor's name? Because I don't remember his name.
John Stamos.
Thank you. Anyway, the blonde brother that was a comedian. That Frankenstein from the 1910 Frankenstein looks like Coulier. That's his name. Coulier. However you pronounce his fucking name.
Fun fact about him. You ought to know. That's the guy the song's about.
Yes, I know. The blowjob in the theater. Yeah, I know. We all fucking know that now. I mean, goddamn, they act like it's like brand new news. It's like, no, we've fucking known about it since like the 90s when that first came out. And people started talking about it. Yeah, you know, he was the ex-boyfriend. Bet that song's about him. It was about him. And then he found out at the same time. And it made him feel bad. Yeah, Dave Coulier.
The less cool Coolio.
The less cool of the Coolio. I mean, the guy's it's like an okay voice actor. I don't think he's very funny.
No, he did like a shitty Popeye imitation, and some reason that was endearing to ABC.
I guess. I never liked him. John Stamos and Bob Saget, I've always liked.
What's not to like about
just-
John Stamos? Come on. Eye candy.
He's a hell of a drummer.
Rebecca
Oh, yeah.
Romaine would have something to say about that.
Oh my God, the roast of John Stamos. That guy goes up there and he says, "You must feel like shit losing your girlfriend or your wife to the fat kid from Stand By Me." Said that to him at a roast, and I'm like, "Oh my
Ouch.
God!" And it shows John Stamos going, ha, 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 but inside, you know, he was fucking crying.
Yeah. That was a burn. That sucked.
That was a brutal joke.
Listen, if I had Rebecca Moraine, I would kill people to keep from
All right,
losing
back this
her.
up to that scene again, Martin, because this is so
Okay.
funny. Because he's trying to play it cool. He goes, "We failed. It is what it is." When he drops his whole body right there, just complete. He just physically manifests
He's
complete
full on
failure.
drama queen.
Yeah, he's going drama, but he's trying to we all have to deal with our failures. They teach us things, and then he
With
spins
quiet and
around
dignity.
Yeah.
and starts smacking the body, choking the dead body. And she says, "Stop it,
You'll kill
Frederick.
him.
You'll kill him."
She's such a weirdo.
It's so. There it is. Stop it, doctor. Stop it. You'll kill him.
I don't want to live. Drama queen.
And then he says, "Quiet, dignity, and grace," breaking the fourth wall.
Oh yeah.
And so many of these scenes look like they're right out of a Frankenstein movie, like that scene, because that's very similar to a scene in Son of Frankenstein. Yeah, a lot of people don't know Lorenzo Music was a producer. He wasn't an actor. He just ended up doing the voice on the intercom on Rhoda, and then eventually got work doing voice work. He's got such a sardonic voice.
Also, he wanted to because he was bored with being a producer.
Not
'Cause-
surprised.
Because what was it? Maurice LaMarche, the guy that played Egon in the Real Ghostbusters, guy was like, "Why are you here? You could like do all these other things. Like, what power? Oh, should she have the red dress
was
or the
this
blue
guy.
dress?"
This guy is so important. I'm sorry. I got to. Anytime something important to him, that is Arthur Mallet and or Mars. I'm sorry, Kenneth Mars, and he was a great comedic role. The way he did this arm was fucking brilliant. And this is an homage to the chief inspector in the Son, or no, Son of Frankenstein. Yes, Son of Frankenstein, which is where or Bride. No, it's Bride of Frankenstein. He rips the inspector's arm off. And that's what this character is an homage to. Thanks for pausing on this guy. And this guy does it brilliantly. His over-the-top German accent is so ridiculous.
Not
funny.
even the villager. Even the villagers understand
Exactly.
him all the time.
It's so exaggerated. They're like, "What?" And then he tones it down and says it normal. And it's so fucking funny.
Footsteps. Oh.
He also has that great gag when he goes to meet Broderick, and when Frederick's not looking, he makes the sound of the darts
Yeah.
Yeah.
with his stuff and sticks him there.
Makes him miss every single shot. By the way, the thought of one of the darts, they all hit the tires of the car, right? And one of them hits a cat. And that was Mel Brooks screaming like a cat off camera the moment he threw the arrow. That was an ad lib, but they kept it.
Yeah.
They had too much fun making this movie.
That actually Brooks added scenes because they were so
he didn't
disappointed. They were so disappointed that principal photography was ending that Mel started writing more scenes for them to film.
And by the way, they do have the girl scene in this, and I love the way they did it. The little girl.
Yes. What else could we throw?
And he stops and he looks at the camera.
Yes.
He because the monster breaks breaks fourth wall 3 times in the film. That scene with the blind man, and then later when he's in bed with his wife, who looks like the Bride of Frankenstein.
Yes. You made a yummy sound
myself. This is excellent. You just made a yummy sound. So I thought you liked the dessert. I didn't make a yummy sound. Well, if he didn't make a yummy sound and you didn't make a yummy sound and I didn't make a yummy sound, the fucking around the table Three Stooges moment.
Yep. And then from the
I don't know
from
if you
the-
ever
the
tried
lab.
Schwarzwälder Kirschtorte, but that's a very elaborate kind of cake. Takes a lot of time and ingredients making it. That's something
Yes.
special. So it is a very good treat that they're having there.
Yummy sound incoming, Jim Watari. By the way, I want to say hi to everybody in the chat. Let's see. We got FKHC 2005, who's not gotten his video yet.
Oh,
Snorted Poop is Cuber. Tom Baker. Splasher Fred. Bumpy Johnson is here. Famous black gangster. Andy Morrow. Sander Hammerschlag. Now that sounds like a dirty name for a German penis. The Peter Vinkman fan site. Parrot Head. Eastland Burkholder. Let's see. And Jim Watari. Welcome to the show, guys.
And War Monkey just arrived.
Oh, War Monkey. What's up, War Monkey? Good to see everybody.
hi, War Monkey.
Yeah, and
Playing down Ritz! I told Anima right before it started, I said, you're going to love this. She goes, Vi, what's going to happen? And I said, just watch. And then she watched and they start doing a dance routine and he does the first putting on the Ritz and she just fucking starts laughing.
Oh, that cracked me up. That was so funny.
Putting on the Ritz!
Yep.
That was an ad lib too, by the way. They couldn't figure out what to have him say, and he just blurted that out, and they kept it in. They went with it.
okay, 14. Here we go.
By what name are you known?
There are some who call me Tim.
Jim gets it right. That would come closest to a German word that makes sense with this one. That's basically dick piece, more or less, in almost German.
Yeah, we did that. We talked about that a little bit earlier, Jim. Because like
goes
the
without
only
saying.
makeup on him is his forehead
Yep.
and the zipper. The rest of him is actually
It's
Peter
fucking
Boyle's.
The zipper.
It's his fucking face.
Yep.
Yeah, it's like every time I saw that as a kid, I'm like, what do they put in there? Like pennies? And I'm glad I'm able to be here, guys, but I have to apologize. I got to blow my nose a lot because I have some sort of rhinovirus.
Stop doing so much coke. I keep telling you this.
No, he had a doctor's appointment, and
I
they
can't
had him
help it.
wait.
It tastes really good, Tom.
Jesus Christ!
I love the taste of cocaine in my nose.
Stop hanging around with rhinoceroses.
Yeah, right.
Gary, stop hanging around the White House, okay?
Don Ecker asked me, well, what the fuck is
explains.
rhinovirus? I said, rhino means your nose. It's, rhinovirus.
Yes.
In fact, one of the other names for it is rhinitis.
Just got to say how fucking hot Terry Garr is in this movie. I mean, I'm
Oh my
sure
gosh,
we
she's
all
hot
said
in
it
everything,
collectively
dude.
already, but
Oh yeah.
I mean,
it's
look
just
at
so
her
sad
in
that we
Star
lost her
Trek.
this week, and I know that's one of the main reasons we're watching this week.
It is.
or whatever.
She was so gorgeous.
I mean, she's
And-
just beautiful in this movie. Yeah.
And by the way, her type of comedy and everything made her perfect. Like she was born
Oh,
to
she's
be
a comedian
Phoebe's
who
mom.
never ever really got the credit she truly did. I mean, look
Never
at
did.
this. Look at all the other stuff she had done post this. Like most people don't even remember her fact that she was in Dumb and Dumber because she had kind of blimped out a little bit. I don't know if she had a medical condition or what. I
She
know
did.
she did it
It
later
was-
in life, but
It appeared in the
Yeah.
90s is when it first showed
and
up.
I think
she
that was what it was from. Was
he
her
lied.
medications at the time?
Well,
yeah,
she
had-
lied
was it-
about it on
was it-
David Letterman
Yeah,
and said that she had been hit by a car when in fact it was she had the first stages of what is it called, Tom? Multiple sclerosis.
that's
that
what I was
it?
trying to think of. Yeah,
Yeah.
multiple sclerosis. That's it. Yep. And so I
And
believe
it-
the meds she was taking actually made her bloat up. So yeah.
So she ended up lying on David Letterman cover her medical condition and said she
We
was
have a
struck by car.
breach.
But I mean, Mr. Mom and so many other films that she had done.
Oh God, she is so good with Michael Keaton in that movie.
She originally
love that
wanted to play Elizabeth, but then the actress,
And Close Encounters, of course.
the actress that were meant for Greta said she would rather play the fiance. So they called her and asked her, can she do a German accent? Like come in the next day and do a German accent. If that goes well, she can have the part of the assistant here. And she immediately broke out in a German accent on the phone and got the role. Saying something like, I can do the accent tomorrow, or I can do it right now. They were like, yeah,
Here's the
that's-
dark
yeah.
game. Here's the dark game.
That was a great little gag that you did. We've got to look normal, and then boing, his paper collar flies over.
Collars pop out.
Yes. Yep.
And he sticks
Yeah,
the
with the
darts
darts.
in his arm.
In his arm, yes.
And he runs up there and he sticks him into the dartboard when he's not looking, and he runs back and he makes a sound with the pumping of the thumb and his mouth. And he turns a nice grouping.
Nice grouping, that's right. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, Jim has all the quotes.
Oh, he said it too. Yes. Yeah, I love that. Anybody's a true fan of this film, remember some of the great quotes out of this movie.
Well, you can tell that Gary and I have just watched it yesterday, so it's really fresh in our minds.
You are a Frankenstein. And crash through the glass. Oh.
Yeah, because then that gag would play even bigger later.
Yes.
Of the fourth wall with the window when they did High Anxiety and the camera accidentally goes through the fucking window while they're having dinner, and all the actors turn and look at the camera, and then the camera just starts craning backwards. Then they go back to the scene.
Yeah, it's a wonderful little setup and payoff though, because we see him screw up and throw all the darts through the window, and we hear the glass shattering and tinkling. And then when he leaves, we see all the darts stuck in the tires
Yeah.
of the
Stuck
car.
in the tire.
Well, all at one.
There they
and
are.
One with the cat.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Brilliant. He missed the target, but he got all the tires,
Yeah, even
Including the
the spare
spare.
tires. Well,
Yeah.
including the spare. Yes.
Fucking white wall too.
Hey, that was cool back then.
Oh, that's cool all the way back up into the 70s, man.
I know.
White wall tires. They just sort of disappeared. And look at him. He just looks so. God, I love Peter Boyle, dude. He's such
He
a
looks
good
so
actor.
sad all the time.
Outside of this one, and I've seen every movie he's been in, including Joe, one of my favorite films about a guy who's mildly racist and sexist, and he plays the role perfectly. But that guy's a hell of an actor, and playing Ray's dad on Everybody Loves Raymond is probably one of the greatest roles a guy could ever get, and it went to this guy, Peter Boyle.
Yeah.
Hey.
He was also in Where the Buffalo Roam.
That's right. He
playing-
was his lawyer friend.
He
Yeah.
was the lawyer to Hunter Thompson, played by Bill Murray. And I thought that was a great homage to Hunter Thompson until I saw Fear and Loathing.
Well, here you go. Hunter S.
Yeah.
Thompson said, if you want to see what I'm really like, watch Where the Buffalo Roam.
Right.
If you want to see what I wish I was like, watch Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas.
Hey,
Because that's how I would
Exactly.
like to be.
look who's in the
That's
chat.
how he wrote. Yes, that's how he wrote
Oh,
himself.
my buddy Mike Barron. Hey, buddy. Yeah, we are going to have you on here soon. His new comic, Sherlock Holmes versus Nemo, is looking great. My buddy Richard Bonk is the artist on that. Oh, it looks glorious. We've been promoting the heck out of it over on our Facebook group and on Twitter. Mike Barron, funny dude. He was my boyfriend. I love that line.
You learn that after she leads him to his room, and then she goes to kiss the
Kisses
portrait.
the
and says
painting.
goodnight.
But
Well-
it's funny because, instead of saying he was my lover or anything like that, She says, he was my boyfriend.
I find that
Yeah.
cute.
Yeah,
So
I
so
gotta read you this one because I just found
Okay.
this. Gene
All right.
Wilder and Mel Brooks only got into one fight during the movie's
Yes,
production, but it
I
was
told
a big
Anima
one
about this.
Yes.
Hold on.
with
I told
Mel
Anima about
throwing
this.
a
Go,
huge
go.
temper tantrum, yelling and raging, and eventually storming out of Gene's apartment where they'd been working on the script. Roughly 10 minutes later, Gene's phone rang. The caller was Mel, who had this to say. Who was that madman you had in your house? I can hear him yelling all the way over here. You should never let crazy people in your house. Don't you know they can be dangerous? That, as Gene later put it, was Mel's way of apologizing.
Yeah, when he was wrong. I thought you were going to talk about the time that he got into a tiff over a scene. He said, "You really want to have that scene in there? You know, I don't really like that scene. I really don't think it." And Gene lost his fucking mind on him. And all Mel was doing was testing him to see if he was willing to fight for a scene.
That might have been the same incident, though.
I don't think so. I think those are two separate incidents. Now,
Yeah,
here's the little girl scene.
Yes.
And I love the way they do this, where she's dropping little flowers into the well and he's helping her. He goes, "Oh, well, we've run out of things to drop into the well. I wonder what we should drop into the well now." And then he looks at the camera like, "I know what you're thinking."
Yeah, well, it's yeah. We had to put this in because we needed an homage to another movie.
Yeah, and of course the parents are fighting. The father's, she's like, "I thought you were watching our daughter. I thought you were watching our daughter. Well, didn't you check upstairs? Well, I thought you checked upstairs. Didn't you check upstairs? No, I didn't check upstairs. Oh my God, we better check upstairs." And as they're running up the stairs, what happens. And it's funny as fuck. It was a nice twist on the original Frankenstein gag of him killing the little girl accidentally. Right. He didn't understand that she was pretty like a flower, and he threw her into the water and she drowned. He didn't know she didn't notice. There he goes, looking at the camera, breaking the fourth wall.
Yep.
God damn it. But I didn't look upstairs. Then they go running up the stairs and he gets on the tater totter with her and he sends her flying through the air. And she goes right through the window into the bed. And they're like, "She was here all along."
I don't look. She gets knocked out by hitting the bed.
Yeah, it knocks her out.
Lying asleep, like looking like she was asleep for a while.
Man, and this is the blind man scene. Here it is. This is the gag that just killed all of us. The soup scene where the ladle is constantly moving. He's trying to follow it and gets it in the crotch every single time.
Yeah.
I
He
can
breaks
tell you,
his mug of wine.
Anima, this scene has special significance for any man.
Crotch.
Dude. I don't have a dick, but it would hurt me too. So
I know, but you know, I'm sorry. A 4-year-old has an instinctive ability to block anything coming at that part of the body. It's not something any boy has to be taught. It's just automatic. And for Peter Boyle to sit there and let him pour it in his lap is just like, oh my God.
Oh, and don't forget this part right here was really big. He's commenting on his size.
Yes. Yes. Always
Now they
wanted a
did
visitor.
give him elevated shoes that put him another 2.5 inches taller. But Peter Boyle is like 6'4".
Yeah,
as I recall.
He's a big guy all the time.
I
Gene
miss
Hackman's
him.
not that tall. I mean, he's average height. So, but yeah, I think Hackman didn't realize how much he'd bitten off here, especially deciding to do his first comedy scene with a director like Mel Brooks.
Well, and I can imagine that's another reason why he wanted to do it. And you probably already said this is just to show that he could, or to prove that he could.
Well, it was, but he also thought he'd be done in an afternoon. And Mel, telling the story, said, "I had him for 10 days." And he kept him working all day for 10 days, doing take after take after take after take. And by the time he was done, Hackman was like, "I'm not doing comedy again. Comedy's hard."
What did I tell you?
Okay,
Well,
that's it. He's 6'2", and they put the shoes on him that made him 6'4".
Well, one of the
Which
scenes
is-
was done quickly. The one where he says, "I was going to make espresso," because they couldn't repeat that scene. It
They
was
couldn't.
Well, because he
impossible.
kept laughing. He
Yeah.
himself
Yeah,
kept laughing.
Yeah, he corpsed every
figures
time
up
he
on
tried
that.
to repeat it. Yeah.
Corpsed.
So what the British actors call it when you laugh during a scene, they call it corpsing.
First time I heard
Because you're
that.
killing the scene.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Oh, I love
But
the way he's
that's-
holding the cigar. And you're wondering, like,
Yes.
why is he holding it that way? And then you realize that's the payoff when he sets his thumb on fire.
Exactly.
Fire is good. Fire is good. And then he says the wrong thing. He says, inhale. You don't inhale, you puff.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's all with
Never
your mouth.
inhale a cigar. unless
Don't
you wanna
inhale the
die.
cigar.
Well,
Cigars.
I inhaled cigars, but I don't smoke anymore, so I don't.
I
have that
inhaled
problem.
through my nose. I did the French roll. I would
Yep.
puff into my mouth and then roll it into my nose because it had that little bit of extra filter time to cool off the smoke and not make it so harsh.
I just bought better cigars than you did, Gary.
Fuck you. I drink brandy, and I would brandy dip my macanudos. Macanudos are good. Sure, they're cheap, but they're good.
Couldn't resist. Sorry.
I have bought a few expensive cigars in my life, and I afterward I'm like, you know what? The Macanudo is still as good a cigar as this.
My ex
I
was
get it.
into Cohiba.
Well, Macanudos make a shorter cigar, and they brandy dip them. And what I
Mhm.
loved about them is when you put them in your mouth, your lips got numb, and I just love that
Right.
sensation. This is so cool.
Yeah.
It's sort of like the Scooby-Doo moment, trapping the monster. And I want to point out that she stabs him with the syringe, but never depresses the plunger.
Yeah, that was stupid.
Right.
But all of that was shot at 20th Century Fox backlot. And you can actually take tours of it online. And you can actually see the spot where they shot the scenes for this in the village. Another scene in this that will be coming up after the escape is another one straight from Bride of Frankenstein. It's where they chain him up in the dungeon.
Mm-hmm.
And they recreate that sort of. God, Terry Garr was so cute. Look at her. Those scrutinizing eyes. That cute little nose.
Yeah, he's
So this is where he
good.
says, no matter what I say,
Yeah.
no matter what I yell, do
Yeah.
not let me out of here. Oh my God,
Yeah.
let me out. Let me out.
Yep. Yeah, he's being the dedicated scientist going in, and then he's like, ah, and he does the Gene Wilder panic coming out.
What's the matter with
the
you
matter
people?
with you people?
I was joking. Can't you tell when somebody's joking? Jesus Christ, get me out of here. I fucking love this. The goddamn door. I'll kick your rotten heads in. And then he goes into the best mode, daddy mode, or mommy mode,
Yes.
technically.
Right. Oh, this is how mercurial an actor and comedian Gene Wilder could be. Goes from calm, possessed, panicked to now he's going to seduce the monster. He's going to
And I
get
gotta
the
be
monster
honest,
to be.
I think that came to him naturally. Because
No, I know it did.
when he was
No, that's
a
what
teenager,
I'm saying.
his mother had a heart attack.
Mhm.
And the doctor put this huge weight on him. He says, you best never fight with your mother or you might
Right.
kill her. And so
Wow.
from that point forward, he made it a point to always make her laugh.
Wow.
And so he just took the comedy naturally because of that. And when he first started on stage, it's where he felt most comfortable was on stage. And he ended up working with Anne Bancroft in one of his first major productions that he got hired for. It was by accident, by the way, that he got hired, because they misunderstood him as not being the person they hired. They thought they hired somebody else, and they actually hired him. So he gets that part, and Mel Brooks just smitten with him. And they went out on a double date, because that was back when Anne was not married to Mel yet. And they became instant friends. And that's when he wrote the part in The Producers, he meant it for him and him only. He said he's the only guy that can play this part.
He was right.
And he said part of it is because when he's terrified, you can tell when he's terrified. And so he can really pull from his muscle memory of being terrified. Now, here comes the scene. Anima didn't know what was going to happen here. She goes, "Oh my God, is this going to be bad? Is something bad going to happen here?" I said, "No, this is one of the most wonderful scenes in the fucking movie. And it is worth the price of admission, just this scene alone."
Oh, yeah.
And then the music, and you don't know what's going to happen. He does the walk forward, heel to toe. Now walk backwards. He does that. And then he starts bragging how what you're going to next see is just a sign of pure genius, and I'm like, oh fuck. And by the way, they mimic this scene later in another film called The Man with Two Brains, where Steve Martin is standing before a bunch of neurosurgeons, and he says something, and you hear a bunch of murmuring in the audience. And he says, "You can murmur if you want," and then the murmuring gets louder. That is clearly a nod to this scene.
Mm-hmm.
Incredulous as it may sound, it's like, what is this? This is just absurd. This is silly. He's a braggart. He's a braggadocious fool. What's this?
The Creature.
No, I'm looking at the comment here. Eastland
Oh.
Burkholder. Physically attractive persons are often underrated. Yeah, that's true. Could have been a good on vaudeville, Gene Wilder. Called Pulling Faces on Vaudeville. Only guy to play the part, Dirk Benedict, face at 18. And I'm not sure I understand what that
What
means.
does that mean?
That's how he would do it, Slasher Fred, because like Hitchcock, he wanted to do his cameos, but some of them weren't physical. Some of them were voice. He's also in Wilder's own film, Sherlock Holmes' smarter younger brother. Gene Wilder stars as the lead character, and you hear him over a phone, I think, or off camera, is Mel Brooks. Into the realm of genius. We must quietly venture into the realm of genius. God, man, somebody's saying that. Mesdames and messieurs, a lifeless I've regenerated a lifeless tissue, and now to a man about town. And he's in the fucking let's go down and come back up, and there he is. Fashion sits. Putting on red. I laughed so hard the first time I couldn't breathe. There he is putting on reds.
Reds.
Look like Gary
Guys,
Cooper.
his mouth is really
Cooper. Say Gary.
Ooper duper, I believe it is what he says, essentially.
The way
It sounds like he says super duper. The way he says
how he's dancing so clumsily, it's funny.
Yep.
That really cracked me up. Oh, hi, Penny.
Oh boy, Pop has him. Yeah, it's not long. And he's funny as hell as Lex Luthor.
Australia.
You know how they did the commercials? Foster's, Australian for beer, which is not true. Nobody in Australia drinks Foster's. It's an export, not something they drink locally. They hate it. It's garbage beer. But I made the joke in high school. Australia, Australian for Australia. Don't throw cabbage. Who brings cabbage to a neuroscience? Like, oh my
I
God.
don't know.
Like, where did they get the cabbage from? Then he's carried out like that. Oh, I fucking love this scene.
Oh, she feels sorry for him.
Everybody does at this point because they finally got through to him. Why, he'd be as bright as rain. I love that line. So 1930s. There's just some way, and she kisses his fingers. Just some way that I can make you feel better. And
Remember, he's engaged.
then he
right?
looks at the camera, and next thing you know, she comes walking and looking for them. Doctor. He and she are up on that fucking platform. Starts lowering down. They just had dirty, dirty sex.
Yep.
You can always tell because they show the guy or girl with cigarettes.
Yeah, that's the cigarette after. She finally got him.
And of course, it's the night his fiance shows up.
Unannounced, though. He had no idea. She's a surprise. I suggest you put on a tie. Yeah. He's still in heaven.
Now, I'm going to give you an odd name of an actor who worked early with Mel Brooks is Frank Langella. One of his early films was the 12 Chairs, 1970, with Mel Brooks.
Ooh, another funny scene coming up.
Yes.
With Igor.
Yeah, that fox fur boa caused problems for the production. Because every time he bit it, he wound up with fur in his mouth, and everybody cracked up.
But he's just repeating Frederick's lines, and it's so funny.
Yeah. But when he's trying to get it, it's almost the end of the scene, and he attacks the boa. He attacks the mink.
He bites it, yeah.
He bites it, and every
I don't think that's a mink. It looks like a fox.
Either, well, actually, ermine, probably because they're white. Either way, however it was they made the prop, every time he bit it and came back, he had fur in his mouth.
Tufts of fur in his mouth.
And all it took was one look at him and, his mouth full of fur, and everybody else in the scene cracked up, and that was the end of that shot. Cut, start over.
Like
I don't know.
They had a lot of fun making this.
Oh, yeah. But it must have taken at least 15 or 20 takes.
Can you give me a hand with the bags, Igor? Sure, you take the blonde one, I'll take the brunette.
Yeah. No.
I'll take the one with the turban.
Yeah. You take the blonde and I'll take the one in the turban. He's doing Groucho Marx. That's his Groucho Marx impression. Absolutely
it's a spot on
fantastic.
One. It's really good.
Yeah, it is. I just this is one of my favorite scenes because it could have been such a disaster for Dr. Frankenstein here, and Igor completely defuses it for him. Nobody's going to give him shit after the stunts that Igor has pulled, getting
Yeah.
getting her into the house. So it's just it's like he saves the day for Victor for Frederick.
And by the way, this guy here is a Czech actor, Oscar Beregi Jr. He was in Twilight Zone, a lot of stuff. This guy filled my childhood as far as TV shows and movies. And the dude is like in everything. Good God, what a resume this guy had. And he just has this little bit part as the cruel jailer. That's his name, his character's name, cruel jailer.
Sadistic jailer.
And this, of course, is an homage to the scene from Bride of Frankenstein. By the way, good comment, Slasher Fred. Elephant Man is basically Frankenstein-like movie. It also involves misunderstood person who just wants to be respected because he's not just an animal, he's a human being. Quote, end quote. Again, 20th century backlot in their little city, their village set. And I think that it is just about time that we had one.
Yeah, he always used und instead of and. How he has the other guy work his arm.
That was where he had to repeat it back because the villagers didn't understand what he just said. And he speaks quietly. I said. And in every Mel Brooks movie, there seems to be a musical number. It's true. A lot of people don't know this, is that he is an avid pianist and songwriter and loves music. And he wrote the song High Anxiety.
It's really weird to think we have David Lynch's film career because of Mel Brooks.
Isn't that weird? It is.
She won't have him sleep in her room, but she wants him right down the hall in case she gets the fright.
She's so clearly not into him.
Yes.
She's
she's into herself.
Yeah.
Until she meets the creature.
I mean, when they say goodbye on the platform, there's nothing about her that he can touch, so they say goodbye with their elbows because she's all made up to go to a party. And now he's about to kiss her, and she's going to say nothing with the tongue involved or something like that. That was an addict too, by the way.
Well, at the end of the platform scene, he blows her a kiss and she ducks.
She ducks the kiss, that's right. Yeah.
Oh, throws her a kiss, yeah.
Yeah.
Does that.
She
throws her a kiss
out of the way.
And she ducks out of the way. I mean, it isn't until she meets the creature and starts singing "Oh Sweet Mystery of Life" that she finally finds he finds a man that can satisfy her.
I know you guys were just talking about Cronenberg. You know what's funny is Mel didn't even want to make The Fly. Do you guys know that?
No, I did not know that.
Yeah, he's like, because they brought it into him, and he's like, The Fly? That was such a shitty movie. Everybody laughed.
Right.
It's like, yes, I make comedies, but I don't make horror movies to make comedies or something like that. And like, yeah, and then they finally, it was basically Cronenberg had to convince him that he was going to basically make it more of an allegory on, the AIDS situation and all that kind of stuff, more so than he got it. But yeah, he was not for it at all because he's like, he had horrible memories of the original Vincent Price film. He's like, I fucking hated that movie.
There she is with the gray coming out now, starting to get the bride look.
Yes, the Bride of Frankenstein hair.
My
father's very rich.
I'm expecting a very important call.
Oh, is it in the slides? Yeah. and then she sees it.
She's singing right now, so there you go.
Yeah.
That's I found you. That's
when
it.
she when he says I'm feeling very weird, Carl, and then she pauses and then she says woof.
This is true, but part of the deal for producing Elephant Man was making Dune. So now she's like all into him. You're incorrigible, aren't you?
There it is again, the cigarette.
Yep. You hot monster.
And then the music starts and he gets up and walks away. And she starts giving him shit. And then when he's out of earshot, she goes, I think I'm in love with
Yeah.
And you're off to
7 or
the
8
boys
quick
to
ones,
post and
right?
brag. I think I love him.
Another
The thing
schnitzel.
about men always go away after 7 or 8 quick times.
Yeah. But
You're like,
I don't know.
oh,
Maybe
she's not that cool.
maybe I'm the only one who was reminded of Blazing Saddles in that. Another schnitzel, Gruben?
Yeah, no,
We
Madam,
watched
I
that
am
one,
not
Gary?
from Havana.
Did we watch Blazing Saddles, Gary? We keep referencing that.
No, we
movie.
haven't.
Okay.
Oh,
I have. You haven't.
Oh, you got to do that one.
Oh, I know if I have watched it, it was with you. So that's why I ask you. He's my guide to the movies.
Oh yeah. Oh, Blazing Saddles. Oh,
And he starts to come up, and Igor and she are going to help him. And he goes, no. He has to come up on his own. And his eyes get really huge. Like, I got to get up by myself. That look on
Oh,
his face.
shit.
He's like, got this terror look on his face. Like, wait, what?
He must be a good bit lighter, though, after banging her again and again.
He lost a pound or two.
Mm-hmm. He wants to do it by himself, yeah. And he's like, the fuck?
I don't know who is fucking messaging all right now. That's really fucking annoying. My phone's not responding. I'm going to turn it down.
Just turn it off.
With waiting for Julia, I can't.
Oh, sorry, I forgot that.
Now here we have the brain transfer thing.
Yeah, and watching the slideshow, the subtitles, I get it now because apparently there's an imbalance with the fluid in his brain, and they need to correct that by transferring some between the two of them. So that's the liquid in the tubes there.
Of course, this is right when they have the mob come in.
Yeah, I mean, when they should like not 1 second more or less, something's going to happen that is going to fuck it up.
yeah. This is where the expression torches and pitchforks came from.
Yeah.
From the original Frankenstein movies.
Well, that goes all the way back to the Middle Ages when it was all the simple people had. Whenever there was
No, he's talking about in film. He's talking about in film.
I'm talking about in the United States, which is only 200 and some odd years old. Just as a country, but yeah, as a cultural thing here, this is what got Americans thinking about torches and pitchforks. Is what I'm saying. They don't think of medieval Europe; they think of Frankenstein movies.
Yeah. Which is funny, but yeah, that was all the peasants had was the farming tools,
right?
And fire. So that's what they would use.
Well, I've watched a lot of military history about things like ad hoc weapons and stuff, and how many of the medieval weapons were made from farming implements.
Yes, absolutely.
Now, there's one thing that nobody has made a comment on yet so far, and I'm just curious if anybody has noticed something weird.
What do you mean?
The eye patch.
The monocle
Oh, the
over
monocle
the
over
eye.
the eye patch. Yeah.
Yes.
The
You
zipper.
just noticed that? I
No.
noticed that when we watched
I
it.
notice it all the time, but
Yeah.
nobody's commented on it. So I was just wondering, am I the only one
Yeah.
that like noticed this?
Well, I don't think I've ever seen anybody wear a monocle in their left eye.
It's a
So I
monocle
figured-
in an eye that he doesn't have.
Right,
yeah.
exactly. But he's putting it in the right eye because that's where you put a monocle, was the way I always thought about it. Except
Because
he also
most
has
of
an
the
eye
people
patch.
are right-handed. Most of people
Yes.
are right-handed, so that's where
And
they
right
would
eye
put
dominant.
Yes.
it. Yeah.
So he just kept using the monocle even though he'd lost his eye.
It's his style, I guess. He didn't want to change that just because he was wearing an eye patch now.
And in
Right.
a semi-connected way, most guys' penises bend to the right.
The
Everybody needed to know that, Gary.
It's the same reason.
You're never allowed to criticize anyone's jokes ever again.
I'm not joking.
What if you're
That's the
ambidextrous?
That is a
sad
science.
part
It's a
about it.
fact that a majority of people are right-handed, and because of that,
Did you do a
there's-
poll or something like that?
No, it's in
He's-
fucking. It's in the.
He's,
We learned this in fucking school. That the reason why men's penises bend
You
to the
went
right
to fucking
usually
school?
is because
It wasn't a very long poll, Tom.
what was that? What class was that? Holes and poles?
it was then that I did the show by myself.
I thought I was gonna get to leave. Damn it! I thought I was almost out.
Annabelle
Every
uses
time
banner
I
now
think
for
I'm
you.
out, they pull me back in.
If you kick someone from the studio, you're not invalidating their point. You're just demonstrating that you have
Any-
fear.
Yeah,
when
He
they
the
have
didn't
to
studio-
kick
say.
anyone from the studio. He
Off
just
the
took them
screen.
off stage. Yeah.
There you go.
Just kicked us off the stage. All
I'll
of
just
us.
do this show by myself. I'll teach you.
Yeah. Go ahead, dickhead.
Oh,
Be funny on your own.
oh.
Oh,
love
this
it.
in. This in. This
Okay.
in.
Now,
This is a great
well,
scene.
the beauty of this is now that Peter Boyle's the creature has gotten his brain balanced. He's now middle-aged and married.
And he has poo poo undies. Ugh.
Yes.
She says,
Yeah.
and just so you can put your socks and the sundries and your poo-poo undies. And I'm like, oh my God, she said poo-poo undies.
Yeah, she wants the gross stuff to go in one hamper and all the other normal laundry in the other one.
And she does the drum thing, walking towards him. She is so fucking awesome, Madeline Kahn.
She was. It was amazing.
And then
Oh,
he comes in there and he begins to moan like the monster. "Urgh."
yeah.
And then
Because
she
they didn't have the right amount
did
of
you-
time. So
What did you get out of the exchange? Ah.
yeah, that's what he got.
and what does she do?
And she
At
starts
last I
singing.
found you the same song.
Yes.
And then he's outside playing the song on the horn, and that's the end of the
Yes.
fucking movie. Just what a
Oh.
great fucking movie.
It is.
Absolutely.
I think
Yeah.
it's so much fun to watch.
Yeah, I've told people if you've seen a Mel Brooks movie and you weren't you didn't find it all that funny, this and Blazing Saddles are the two that I tell people. If you haven't seen these, you can't tell me you don't like Mel Brooks movies until you've seen these. Because these are for the ages.
Yeah, and I wholly agree. I wholly agree. Oh my goodness.
I do have a soft spot for high anxiety.
High Anxiety.
I,
One of
I
my
might
favorite
enjoy-
things in the film, trivia-wise, is the actor playing the bellhop. Anybody remember?
Nope.
You don't count as everybody.
Nope.
I have a confession. I've only liked one movie, North by Northwest, and I'm not a Hitchcock fan. So I didn't bother to watch High Anxiety because I knew it was a parody of Hitchcock.
But it's a very good parody, and
Yes.
it's worthwhile. Mel Brooks is always good. Again, a musical scene. There's a musical scene in that one too, where he sings and performs the song he wrote, High Anxiety. And the actor I'm talking about that played the bellhop was none other than Barry Levinson.
Oh.
Yeah, directed Rain Man, Wag the Dog, Bugsy. Just great. He also was the executive producer, by the way, Anima, of one of our favorite mini series from last year, Monsieur Spade. That's Barry Levinson. And he played the bellhop in that. And the bellhop finally, because like every time Mel Brooks sees him, he says, "Now don't forget, I need the morning paper. I'll remember your paper." And his voice gets higher and higher each time. Finally, he shows up in the apartment, and Mel is in the shower, taking a shower, and you see the shadow through the shower curtain walking closer and closer, then rips the shower curtain open, and with the newspaper rolled up in his hand, he begins stabbing him with the paper, going, "Here's your paper! Here's your paper! Here's your paper!" Doing the Psycho theme with his voice. It's fucking great. And then he's laying there like he's dead in the shower and delivers the line, "That boy gets no tip." I love Mel Brooks. I think Mel Brooks sort of lost his talent by the 80s. Spaceballs was the last thing that he did. And I got to be honest, if it were for certain people involved with that and the fact it was a parody of Star Wars, I don't think I would have watched it because I didn't find it even that much funny. It's very enjoyable, but it's not that funny to me. Not like the earlier stuff. You don't look dirty looks, Tom.
Well, you know
No,
what's
I
dumb
agree.
about what you just said is that that's his biggest selling video of all the movies he's done.
And you know why?
Spaceballs.
Star Wars is why.
Partially, you're right, but the other problem is there's the generations separation there. Because yes, I love all those early films of his, but like, yeah, our generation, we love Spaceballs. Like, we were introduced to Mel Brooks through Spaceballs. Right. Now, granted, post Spaceballs, he didn't do jack shit. In fact, Dracula Dead and Loving It is embarrassing.
Terrible. It's terrible.
It's embarrassing, but
I hated
So
Men in Tights. I hated that movie.
Yeah, I don't like that. And I thought
I don't mind that
Silent
one as
Movie.
much, but-
I thought Silent Movie was
Silent Movie's a
boring.
stinker, yeah.
It's a stinker, but it's memorable for me because I saw it as a kid, and I love the fact the best joke in the film is the only person who speaks in that movie is Marcel Marceau, a mime.
Yes.
Has
But
the
the
only
problem
spoken line in
is
the whole movie.
that's the best joke in the movie, but it won't carry a movie.
No.
That's the problem. It's like
And he had Dom
wrote this
DeLuise
movie
and Marty
'cause he had
Feldman,
one.
and it still couldn't save the movie.
Yeah, it's like he wrote the movie so that he could tell that one joke, and it's like,
Well,
you
that's the
needed
problem
more
with
than
Mel
that.
is he's not the greatest writer in the world. That's
No,
part
he
of the
works
problem.
best, and you and I've talked about this before, Tom, that he works best with partners.
He's a good director, but yes, if he has like Gene Wilder or one of his other better writing partners writing with him, like I mean, he had Richard Pryor and Mooney writing with him on Blazing Saddles.
Yep, Blazing Saddles.
You know, and producers, I think didn't he have another writing partner on that as well, if I'm not mistaken?
Yeah, I forgot the name. There was also another writer for the music. If you notice, when they did the musical, they completely excised his material.
I dislike that musical, but yeah.
Mel Brooks is listed as the sole writer, but I do know that somebody worked with him.
Then again, though, now that I remember now, no, I think he did write that pretty much on his own, but like
What the LSD song? the person, not the drug. He's named after the drug.
Yeah, he did. He wrote it all by himself. I like that movie a lot too.
But he did that when I think he was writing for like Carson and who else did he used to write?
Get
for?
Smart. He was also working
Jack
on Get
Benny or
Smart.
Get Smart, something like
Yes.
that. I
Yeah.
can't remember who.
Buck Henry. See, Mel gets a lot of credit for Get Smart, but the fact is that the strongest writer on Get Smart was Buck Henry.
Oh hell yeah!
Yeah.
And he's a great fucking prolific.
And don't get me
writer.
wrong, I love Mel Brooks. He's a very talented guy. But I mean, you can see, especially from as much as I do, I think Robin Hood Men in Tights is fine. But yes, you can start to see the fall off when you get to those last few films, and Life Stinks, and some other ones he did post Spaceballs.
Oh, I
Like
hate
they
Life
really do
Stinks.
suffer.
I think the way to put it is that he's really good at gags, not necessarily good at story.
Right.
that's
And then
one
you
of the
look
other
at something
things.
like Dracula Dead and Loving It, where it almost feels like somebody else came to him with the idea, and then what he wanted to do compared to what it was were two different fucking things. And he miscast himself and Leslie Nielsen in the film, when clearly Leslie Nielsen should be playing
Van
this-
Helsing.
Van Helsing.
Van Helsing.
You and I
yeah.
talked about this recently because I agreed with you that he was perfect for Van Helsing, the right age. They should have had a younger actor playing it. In
If
fact,
anything,
the guy
Carrie
that plays
Elwes or something should have been
Harker.
playing Dracula.
or the young man Wright, whatever his name is, Stephen Wright, that played the Jonathan Harker in it, should be.
Oh, the guy from Wings, yeah.
Yeah, he could have been playing
Maybe I don't know. Well, and that was the other thing is they missed so many opportunities, and it was almost like Mel didn't really watch Bram Stoker's Dracula, and you could tell he wasn't even that big of a fan of the original Dracula because the Van Helsing he was using was not even the one that's in either one of the films. So like the two films they're they're making, satirizing or whatever. He's not. It's like he's in a completely different fucking film. The best actor in the whole movie is what is his face from Ghostbusters 2? I just forgot his name. Guy who plays
the
Redfield.
little guy, yeah, the little guy.
Because he's like one of the only ones in the movie who understands what movie he's in, right? Like,
Well,
I will not.
That's
argue with
interesting.
that.
It's interesting the way you put that, because one of the things I've read about parody movies is that a parody about a movie or a type of movie that you love can be a great parody, but you can't do a good parody or a great parody of a movie you don't give a damn about.
and I
It's
think that's
obvious-
the problem. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, from this movie, Mel was a huge fan of the original Frankenstein movies, to the point where he went and got all the props to put in, obviously, to the lab. So there's no question that Mel Brooks loved.
If
the
not,
Frankenstein
Gene's love
movies.
was infectious. Yeah, one or the other.
Yes,
And
but
it feels
in
like
both of them,
Dracula.
Tom,
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they both. did.
There's only one good Dracula comedy that I liked, and it's this film.
That one's a good one. There's a few. I mean,
Love After
specifically
First
Dracula, yeah. But no, I agree with you, Red Shirt. I think that's part of the problem. Is I think it was something that somebody presented to him as like, oh, well, you got to do Dracula since you did Frankenstein, and I just don't think he ever really was that big of a fan of Dracula in general. Right? I think
Right.
you're right. I think it was just one of those situations because, like I said, he's in a completely different film. Half the cast is in a completely different film. Only like 3 or 4 people in the movie seem to know what movie they're in, like Harvey Keitel and the other guy, I can't think of his name, that I said earlier.
Yeah.
God, what the hell is his name? Peter McNichols. That's what I'm trying to think of. Peter, it just came to me.
Yeah, little guy. That's who
Yeah.
little guy is.
He's hilarious. Well, he's great in
he's so-
everything he does. He steals everything he's in. I mean, he's the best
Even in
part of
Dragon
Ghostbusters
Slayer.
too.
He's also
But he has all the
Dragon
best
Slayer.
lines in Ghostbusters too. I don't know what you're doing, but it's wrong.
His crazy accent. He's in that Mr. Bean movie too.
Where are
He's really
you
good in
from? The Upper West Side?
that. Fucking accent.
Yeah. What was it?
Oh,
I think those were the
Johnny,
thing Nolan
boy, did you back the
McDonald
wrong
said. Going the point was that the reason a lot of the Trump parodies are so bad is because they despise Trump, and if you have to like
Right.
yourself to,
Which is
do a
probably
particular-
why that one that Trey Parker and Matt Stone made is probably the best one of the bunch.
Oh wait, which
but-
one? What's that?
Or no, wait, I'm thinking of that Bush one. Never mind.
That's
what
my
I'm thinking
Bush.
of. Yeah,
That's My Bush?
That's what I was thinking.
I
of.
enjoyed
Never
that
mind.
show.
That's what I
Yeah.
mean. Like, you could tell that they were like, they're not necessarily fans, but like they're clearly like, you could tell by the way they act, they're probably conservative because they stay the fuck out of Hollywood.
Yeah.
And they didn't even make fun of Trump when they had the perfect opportunity to. The best they could do is, and they did it with Garrison because they never thought Trump would win, just like everybody else, right? So they thought it was just going to be a big, they even did the episode with the Obama thing where it's obviously all a big ruse anyway, right? So like that's the way they clearly think that this whole they know what we know, and that is that they decide early on who's going to be president, pretty much. But anyway, not to get into that crap, but yeah. Anyway, moving on back to this, a spider.
Well, I owe a couple of videos. I do believe we had a couple of breaches.
It was a Roseberry.
Yes.
Here's our
breaches.
two breach videos. Here you go.
Open your back door, baby. Loosen your hinges, I'll show you my key.
Great breach song, and here's
Check around and see if there's a back door.
Nice.
There we go. So that's the end of the show. I'm done. I don't want to talk anymore. I'm like
sorry I was so busy during the show here, guys, but yeah.
Oh, that's okay. You popped in at the right moments.
I got a brief thing to go over because I was thinking, and I realized the best way to describe woke, like what their actual psychology is and why we can't reach them with logic. The belief system that they have is basically a luxury. Think of it in the terms of luxury. So like gold-plated rims or, super fancy watch or super giant mega boat. So anytime you're challenging them to like have a different viewpoint, those are the viewpoints of the lower class people. So if they change their views, they're going down in social status.
That's actually, I've read quite a bit of literature on the idea of luxury beliefs. So I think you're onto something there.
Yeah. I thought about that, and it's like all the behaviors that make no sense suddenly make perfect sense when you think of it in those kinds of terms. Like, why are they going on? Like, even people who didn't have anything to do with politics, why are they suddenly going on with it? Like, and why they're defending it to the death? Because it's not us they're trying to impress. They're trying to impress the people above them.
Yeah.
I've got only one response
Listen,
to that.
fuckwad, so you can shut the fuck up, okay?
I love you too, Gary.
Dude, after a reaction like that,
That's it. Show's over.
Yeah, I'm done. I've taken meds that made me get through this, and I only wanted to do it because I love doing the Tom and Gary show. It's so much fun, and we always talk about great flicks on this one. I always make sure it's primo flicks that Tom wants to talk about and has a good working knowledge of. I won't pull some show out of my hat and go, "Hey Tom, we're watching this weekend," and he'll go, "I've never even seen that movie." I will never do that to Tom.
That always happens, though.
Yeah, all three times.
So, Gary, how does it feel to be a liar?
Yeah.
It is the legend.
So, all right. We are going to get out of here, guys. I need to thank everybody that jumped in and watched the show today. I want to thank FKHC 2005. Did you play him his video today? I think you did.
yes, but apparently he wasn't here.
Oh, he's a faker. Tim, you're a liar. You're a big old liar face. Snorted Poopus Cuber, Hello, was here. Tom Baker, Splasher Fred, Bumpy Johnson, Andy Morrows, Sander Hammerslag. I still think that sounds like a dirty sex name, like the Bismarck or giving the girl a donkey punch. The Peter Vickman fan site, Parrot Head, Eastland Burkholder. I'm sorry, I just thought about what a Bismarck is. It just made me laugh. Does anybody know what a Bismarck is?
Apart from the battleship and the Baron,
Yeah.
no.
In sex lingo, it's when you shoot your load into a girl's eye and then punch her in the same eye.
What?
Gary, Stop the
That
show.
is
real.
disturbing.
Nope,
They're
that's
not
it, we're done.
real. They're not real. These are things that people made up. They're funny as fuck if you go look them up.
I know there's a fish dish that they call Bismarck.
End the show. Show's over. Please.
Yeah.
Dr. Punch is the
End
worst.
it.
That's all I got to say. Eastland Burkholder, Parrot Head, Jim Watari, and War Monkey, Mike Barron, my good buddy Mike Barron. Gonna have him on here soon. I'm hoping maybe next week. I gotta make sure it's scheduled with Keith because I want Keith on there if we're gonna have Mike Barron on. Tom, you know Mike Barron, right?
I don't know if I've done a stream with him or not. I know the name.
Would you like to jump on with him to talk about comics and shit?
Possibly. You know me.
I-
if I-
I'm going to try to make it this coming Friday. Joe's
Mike Roch.
What about your crotch?
Mike Roch.
What about your crotch?
Hey, I'm talking about Mike Roch here.
My crotch. My crotch.
can
Has
hardly-
anybody seen my crotch?
It's
There
like
you go.
Keith
If I ever
talking
get
about.
you, you little stinky.
It's like Keith when he starts talking about his black cock.
You guys
Penny,
are so weird.
Colonizer Jeebus was here. I love the way he changes his name season to season.
Oliver
Colonizer
clothes
Jesus.
off.
And I want to thank Tom for being here for most of the show, even though I know he's working today. I want to thank
Sorry.
Shanowski for popping in, being here, and of course, just another Richard. I love hanging out with my dead Star Trek fan. In fact, I saw a thing of post on the official Roddenberry Facebook page that showed a grave marker with unknown red shirt buried here. And I wanted to steal it so I could put it over on Twitter and tag you with it. So thanks for being here, my friend. And Tom, most of all, thank you, buddy. And Martin, thanks for running the show here. Doing a great job on your service. I hope we find an easier way of doing this. We're looking into new ways, but just until they fix the Google thing, I don't think we're going to be able to do it. And of course, Anima Confusa, thank you for being on the show, watching these movies with me, and being the love of my life. I deeply appreciate it. More than you'll ever know. And with that, we are out of here, guys.
Bye.
Have a great Saturday. Be safe. And don't forget, tomorrow. This show has been brought to you by Tom Thumb.
Y'all come back now, you hear?
Thank you.